Hi, I'm August Keller, and this is my review of The Black Phone 2. So, despite developing an immersive mood, Black Phone 2 really struggles to solidify much dynamic substance. The script unpacks themes of PTSD, it really meditates on that, but it really stagnates around that. The plot is very thin, yet oddly convoluted with backstory. It seems to be trying to connect to the first movie a little too much, in my opinion. The protagonists, they have these internal conflicts, but they don't feel very direct. Like, the two desires they have don't really seem to directly conflict. They have, they're just kind of like, it's obvious to me where this is headed. They have a flaw that they're going to overcome, and there's not much to learn about themselves to overcome those flaws. So, their arcs, they have arcs, but I found them to be pretty mild. So these flaws, these literary flaws with the script aren't very extreme. They're actually pretty forgivable, but because they combined with this slow burn approach, the script ends up feeling pretty slight and also pretty monotonous. Um, the dialogue has these awkward quips, and it's also very exposition heavy, so it feels unnatural. There are excessive side characters, and while the acting brings intensity and vulnerability and some chemistry, I do feel like everybody's tethered to one note each. Each of their characters is pretty stagnant, kind of just sitting there waiting to arc. So the acting is really confined. So while Black Phone 2 attempts these psychological meditations, its execution is suboptimal. Technically, the Black Phone 2 is atmospheric, but also uneven. Its cinematography uses like these different film gauges to convey different realities, which is maybe my favorite part of the film. But beyond that, I did find the cinematography to be a bit dark and a bit drab. The movement is very proactive, but sometimes I felt like it was a little too obvious what it was trying to do. But yeah, I liked the cinematography overall. The editing has this patient pacing, which is fitting, but it starts to drag because, again, the script feels pretty thin to me, and also the structure of the movie is kind of repetitive. Like, we keep going, kind of like are spinning our wheels for a while, just waiting for something new to happen. So I honestly found it a bit boring. The sound is good. I like the sound. There's a lot of motifs, like the phone ringing, of course, and when they do bring in the different film gauges, there's also like this projector sound which is, I thought, a very nice touch. There's some subjective distortions like muffling and echoing. There are genre elements, like normal horror genre elements like action, violence. There were some stings that I thought were a little unnecessary. I feel like the movie's better than that, so I was a little disappointed with some of the stings. And silence. I think silence is very effectively used here. The music, I don't know. I found the score decent, good. Slightly above average. It's moody. It's ominous and all that. It wasn't particularly memorable to me, but what I did like about this music was like there were some well chosen needle drops. That really kind of buoyed it. There was at least one needle drop where I felt like it really took the movie over in a positive way. The production design is a character in itself. It's a very like this oppressive looming setting. They're in the mountains in remote Colorado, very wintry. I thought that was a great choice. The cast has returners and some diversity, but I do think it lacks star power. Ethan Hawke is like barely in this movie, in my opinion. And he's the only any person really on this cast with like name recognition at this point. Maybe the young man that's the lead, maybe he's like on his way there, but I don't think he is quite yet. The effects I liked. They depict violence through digital and practical means, so that was nice to see. So yeah, overall, Black Phone 2 has interesting aspects to it, and I do commend some of the choices the movie makes, but I think it struggles to coalesce, and I ultimately felt indifferent towards the movie, which is a shame because I think it has some things going for it that I would like to see in a better movie. I think it's almost there to be in a movie that I liked. I think the script just needed some refining, maybe a little more meat to the drama. I think that would have gone a long way with this movie. I think it just kind of gets bogged down in its own lore a little bit too much, and yeah, that's a shame. But yeah, it's not a bad movie. I wouldn't push anyone away from seeing it if they're interested, but I also wouldn't actively someone to see it. It's like I said, I'm more or less indifferent, mildly positive, but mostly indifferent. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. If you like what I'm doing here, please feel free to like and subscribe. I also have an Instagram linked in the description. I'd love support there or here, whatever you can do, I appreciate. But at the very least, thanks for watching. Okay, thanks.